السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just give me 1 second. I have to start the stream on the main site as well. Okay. Bismillah. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma ameen amma ba'd. No sound? Is there still no sound? There should be sound now. I wasn't talking earlier. Um, but inshallah, you should all be able to hear me now. So welcome, day 5 review session. In the link, I think, not in the link, sorry, in the description to both the YouTube video as well as the Facebook streams, there should be a link to the workbook that we're going to be using, inshallah. Let me know if you guys can all see that. It's called the recognition workbook. Okay, perfect. That recognition workbook is what we're going to be using in class the next few days for the rest of this intensive. So inshallah, make sure that you all have access to that. I'll include it in the link or in the description for the regular class as well. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys could get it here. But other than that, we're not going to start going through that yet. It's very similar. I recycled some of the material from the 1 through 5 workbook from the previous intensive, so you might see some of the same stuff today. But I edited it a little bit and I added some stuff to tailor towards what we're going to be doing in the next few days, inshallah. Habiba, I wouldn't print it yet. I'm still going to make some changes to some of the later stuff. So I just wanted to provide it for you all so you can follow along in class today. But inshallah, I say by class time tomorrow, you could actually I'll give you even better. Yeah, I'll stick with that. That's the safest bet. By class time tomorrow, um, it'll be completed and you should be able to print it, inshallah. Fasya, if you want to learn Arabic from the beginning, you shouldn't start on intensive 4. You should start on intensive 1, inshallah. Intensive 4 is certainly not the beginning. We're, I think, what is this, 35 days in? So really not the best place to start. Okay, so let's get started on questions. If you want, I can't give you Ustad Noman's direct email address, but there's one on the screen now, arabic@bayyinah.com. That's the one. That's the one you can send questions to. Yeah, Zareen. So the one that was before was was specifically for the Aslama family to get you used to all of the different parts of the Aslama family. Now it's similar exercises, but it's not only um, confined to the Aslama family. It's going to be for all of the families. So that's what this new one is for. And it's going to be tailored also towards recognition, making sure you can recognize everything. But we're going to be doing a lot of it in class. And then whatever we don't get done in class for each section will be homework. I believe that's how Ustad wants to do it. Where is the new workbook? It should be in the link for the video that you're watching right now on Facebook. Just check, sorry, not the link. I keep saying link. Check the description for the Facebook video. If you're on YouTube, check the YouTube description. And it should be there for you. Okay, Mishi, the law of inertia for status. For those of you who haven't read um, through the Surah Munafiqun document yet, don't worry about it. You'll get to this whenever you read through it. But the law of inertia for status, it's the concept of by default an ism will be rafa' if there's no fi'l involved. By default an ism will be rafa' and you need a reason to make it nasab or jar, right? When a fi'l is involved, then other than the fa'il, which will be rafa', most of your isms are going to be nasab because they will be details for the fi'l. But we're talking about when a fi'l is not involved. When a fi'l is not involved, then your ism will be rafa' by default because you need a reason to make it nasab or jar. Mishi, I hope that's clear. What's the difference between the 5 fragments and finding the invisible is? For the 5 fragments, there's not going to be an is. And 5 fragments aren't sentences. They're just parts of a sentence. They're things you use to make up a sentence. So, for example, mudaf and mudaf ilayh, the idafa fragment, is how you say something of something, right? It's the possessive fragment. So if I wanted to say my book, I would say kitabi, but my book by itself is not a whole sentence. Does that make sense? So we make up sentences by combining words and fragments. So whenever we talk, our sentences, they're made up of words and fragments. So first we learned words, then we did fragments, which are also made up of words, and finally we got up to the sentence level. And in a sentence, we have to find where the invisible is occurs because in Arabic, they don't write out is like we do in English. So that's what the difference is briefly. I hope that makes sense. If you need further clarification, let me know, inshallah. Dharf, Abu Shali, Dharf is the time and place where something occurs. So, for example, if I'm talking about the fi'l, talking about the fi'l, sajada, right? Sajada means to prostrate, make sajda basically. The time and place, the time, not and, but the time or place of making sajda, we get 3 words. And one of them you should recognize. So the time or place of making sajda, you can use these 3 words: masjadun, masjidun, and masjadatun. That's why we call a masjid, because when we go to a masjid, we make sajda. It's a place of making sajda. So dharf is the time or place of doing whatever your fi'l is. Muhammad Ishaq, a good place to start would be intensive 1, because we're in intensive 4, we're 35 classes in, so there's going to be a lot of stuff here that you're not going to be able to follow along with. So start at intensive 1. Intensive 1 will be the very, very beginning. And inshallah, you can move on from there. Are there more Muslims for the 8 families? Word that there are, but don't worry about that. Okay, let me take a look in the workbook. Bahrain question. Hold on, let me open it. Okay, you said question 14 on page 2, last section. So do you mean تفلحنا? Okay, I'm gonna assume that's what you mean. We can go over it, inshallah. So when we talked about fi'l mudari', the present tense fi'l, we talked about all of the different beginning and ending combinations that we can have with a present tense fi'l, right? We talked about um, a and u, na and nu, ya and you, ta and tu, and then we also talked about um, ya plus ani, ya plus una, ya plus na. Then we talked about ta plus ani, ta plus una, ta plus ina, and ta plus na. So this, if you were to look through all of those present tense combinations, you can see that at the beginning we have ta and at the end we have na. So the best bet here is to assume that this is the um, plural feminine, all of you ladies conjugation. So if we wanted to take this back to the huwa version, we would get rid of the na and put the regular u ending back on, and then we would change the ta to a ya. Yuflihu. So this is our huwa version now. Yuflihu. This is where we started with. This is our huwa yuflihu. And we could go through the whole chart for it too. I'll do it quickly. Huwa yuflihu, huma yuflihani, hum yuflihuna, hiya tuflihu, huma tuflihani, hunna yuflihna, anta tuflihu, antuma tuflihani, antum tuflihuna, anti tuflihina, antuma tuflihani, antum tuflihuna. Sorry, I confused myself. أنت تفلح أنتما تفلحان أنتم تفلحون أنت تفلحين أنتما تفلحان أنتن تفلحن أنا أفلح نحن نفلح. That's our present tense. And based on what we know from this particular pattern in present tense, this matches with أسلم يسلم يسلم يفلح. So if I wanted, I could also get the past tense just by looking at the same word. It would be أفلح because I would match it with أسلم. أفلح يفلح أسلم يسلم. So that's kind of how we want to go about that. Um, I'm pretty sure that's what the question is asking. So it was present tense. The original word tuflihna was present tense in the antunna pronoun. And if we take it back to the huwa, it becomes yuflihu. Whenever we use the link for the study materials, Javeria, take a screenshot of that and then email the screenshot to contact at Bayina. Aisha, that lam is a lam of emphasis. Or it actually could be something else too. Um, leave that for now, Aisha, the lam at the beginning of the in. And, we're going to write out everything, all the explanations for all the ayahs for Surah Munafiqun, so don't worry about that yet. When we get to it, we'll have the explanation for you there, inshallah. Tayyiba, the musters for the 6 small families, they're going to be different every single time. There's no pattern like there are for the 8 big families. So you would have to look it up every single time. How come rasuluhu is proper? Sure, I can explain that. So rasulu, for a fact is an ism because you all know the definition of rasul. Rasul means messenger. A messenger is a person and a person is an ism. So rasul is an ism. And the hu at the end is an attached pronoun, which is also an ism. Way back when we first learned about attached pronouns, we said that anytime a pronoun is attached to an ism, that automatically makes it in idafa. So rasuluhu is in idafa, rasulu is the mudaf, and hu is the mudaf ilayh. Now when we're looking at an idafa, the mudaf takes its type from the mudaf ilayh. If the mudaf ilayh is proper, the mudaf will be proper. If the mudaf ilayh is common, the mudaf will be common. So rasulu is going to get its type from hu. And hu is a pronoun. Hu is always proper. So that's why rasulu is also proper. Maftuna, if that was clear, or if that wasn't clear, let me know. Um, Ariba, if you're talking about on the alif, I left that out on purpose because that's a hamzatul wasl, and hamzatul wasl usually isn't written with a haraka. Is the present passive for sami'a? Let me take a look. Are you talking about on the Sarf families document or the full Sarf breakdown document? I guess I could take a look at both. Okay, it's correct on the full Sarf breakdown. Okay, I see it. That is a mistake, and I will get that fixed, inshallah. How will you know the sounds for Ariba? I forgot your original question. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, okay. When we first talked about Hamzatul Wasl, when we first introduced it, Ariba, we talked about how to know what sound to put on it. I guess I can go through it really quickly again. So whenever you see an empty alif at the start of a word, then that is a Hamzatul Wasl. Okay. Hamzatul Wasl takes its sound from whatever the next vowel is. So, for example, if the next vowel, and write this down if you need to, because I think we've explained this multiple times already, like 3 or 4 times. So, inshallah, make sure whenever something is explained, you understand it well to prevent us having to explain it over and over again. So, for example, in the word in this word that I've written here, the Hamzatul Wasl is empty, obviously. So we look at the next vowel, whatever the next vowel is. The next vowel in this case is that with dhamma. If the next vowel is dhamma, then the Hamzatul Wasl will also take a dhamma. That's why we say uktub, uktub. But if it's anything else other than dhamma, then the Hamzatul Wasl will take kasra. So for example, looking at the word sami'a yasma'u, the command form, here we have Hamzatul Wasl, and we look at the next vowel. The next vowel is meme with fatha. Fatha is not dhamma, so because it's not dhamma, we're going to give the Hamzatul Wasl a kasra. Isma', isma'. Same thing for Rio. If we have a kasra as the next vowel, then also the Hamzatul Wasl will take kasra. Idrib. So you always look at whatever the next vowel is. There's one thing you can do before this. There's one step you can take before this that makes things easier. If your word is starting with al, like with an ism, then you don't have to worry about it. It's always going to be a fatha. With al, it's always fatha. It's never going to be il or ul. But if it's not with al, then you look at the next vowel. Dhamma gives it a dhamma. Anything else gives it a kasra. Ariba, let me know if there's any further explanation needed. Uh, his Sayyida, yes, the review sessions are recorded and they're on the website and they're also on YouTube for now. Safiya, the masdar and the dharf, they look the same, but the meaning is different. Oh wait, sorry. I uh, I thought you were talking about ism maf'ul and dharf. Sorry. Masdar is an idea of something, and dharf is the time and place of something. So, for example, if I'm talking about, let's go back to sajada. Sajda means the fi'l sajda means to make sajda. If I'm talking about the masdar, which is sajda, then the masdar of sajida means it's like the idea of sajda. Whenever you say sajda, you're using the masdar. But whenever you say masjid, for example, you're using the dharf. Because sajda is the idea of prostrating, but a masjid is the place of prostrating. So masdar is the idea of whatever the fi'l is, but the dharf is the time or place of that fi'l. Ariba, you're right. It's unsur. Uzra jahada does not have a passive. Dr. Sabiha, falanwalliyannaka is way above your pay grade right now. I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna, get started on that. What is the empty alif called? It's called, I don't know why it always changes back to the other font. Hamza al-wasl. Hamza al-wasl. That's what the empty alif is called. Sumaya, yeah, all the verbs will mean the same thing. All of them are a time or a place of the fi'l, but um, but not all of them are going to be used. Like for example, we say masjid, but we don't say masjid and masjada, right? We only say masjid. So not all of them are going to be used. It's just whichever ones the Arabs decided they wanted to use for that one. That's the one they use. Dr. Sabiha, I'm not going to explain Falanuwalliyannaka. It's too complicated right now. Najira, I don't have any YouTube channel. Akil, the font that we use, it's right here. Oops. It's this one, if you can see it. KFGQPC, Uthmanic Script House. That's what it's called. Wasl means connection or connecting. So the reason it's called Hamzatul Wasl is because if there's something before it, then we're going to skip it. And you connect the two words together. Both will both present and future fi'l have outside doer. Past, present. Well, I mean, a future fi'l is a present fi'l. They're the same thing. Present is used for both. But a past and a present, yes, they can both have an outside doer. Okay. Um, this is more of a tajweed thing, but I've seen this question more than once, so um, I'll explain the difference, inshallah. What's the difference between alif and alif with a hamza on it? Okay, so one thing you need to keep in mind is that alif is not a letter like the rest of the letters. Alif is more of a vowel, okay? Alif is a vowel and its only job in Arabic is to stretch things. So you'll only ever see alif with a letter that has fatha before it. Okay, that's the only time you have alif. And if you recall, all the times I talked about the empty alif at the beginning of a word, like in qalaba, I don't call that an alif. This is not an alif. This is a hamzatul wasl. It's a special type of hamza. It's not an alif. This is the only time an alif appears with a letter with fatha before it because its only job is to stretch something. Okay, so that's what an alif is. Hamza, on the other hand, um, Hamza can appear like this, or it can appear like this, or it can appear like this, or it can appear like this. These are all the same thing. They're all Hamza. Okay, Hamza can take any vowel. It can take fatha, it can take kasra, it can take kasra, and it can take dhamma. Okay, and it can take sukoon, and it can even take shadda. So Hamza is just like any other letter where it can take any vowel. Alif is not a letter in the sense that it can take vowels because it itself is a vowel. Okay, Alif is only used for stretching. That's what the difference between alif and hamza is. So if you see alif written without a hamza on it, its only job is going to be to stretch something, unless it appears like this, which in that case it's a special type of hamza. It's not even an alif. And I think that may have confused some people. So if that did, let me know, and I'll try to explain a little bit more. But I think that's a good intro to it. There's like a whole chapter of this in Tajweed. Sami'a does have two different. No, it doesn't have two different masdars. It should only have one masdar. Sama'an, it should only have sam'an. Sam'an. Yeah, only sam'an. Originally, Ustad said sama'atan, but he changed it to sam'an later. He chose to use the other one, the simpler one. Ma is an ism mawsul. Dr. Sabiha, we haven't talked about that yet. I'm not going to do any ayah explanations. I'm not a mufassir, so I'm going to leave those alone, inshallah. Yeah, I know there's a mistake on one of the PDFs for Sami'a. I'll fix that right after this session, inshallah. Don't get too caught up that I put like this with the kasra. Um, it's not showing up properly on the yeah here. Here, how about that? Sadaf, I didn't see your question. In 22? Mariam, what do you mean in 22? Ittakhadhu is an irregular fi'l. It's something we haven't learned yet. So, Ustad explained it in yesterday's class in detail. He broke it down completely. If you want an explanation of ittakhadhu, go back to yesterday's class, inshallah. What's the difference between the command form of aslama and the ana form of aslama? Oh, this is the ana form in past tense. This is the ana form in present tense, and this is the command. So all of them look distinct. Obviously, we have the to ending in past tense like we have for all past tenses. Aslamtu, I submitted. For present tense, we have the u and the u at the beginning and the end. Uslimu, I submit. And aslim, submit, it has an a at the beginning, not u, so it can't be present tense. And it does not have the to ending. It just has sukoon. Aslim. That's what the difference is. No, Ustad Norman does not say command comes from the past tense. He also said command comes from the present tense. It's just he gave you guys a shortcut that you can use the past tense for, but even he explained it a few times how to get it from the present tense. Command comes from the present tense, so does forbidding. No, Sadaf, all three are not going to be used. Only one's going to be used, but all three patterns exist, and even more patterns exist, but those three are the popular patterns. So it's good that you know those patterns. So when you see a word that fits those patterns, you'll be able to recognize it. Aslamta, if I switch the dhamma on aslamtu out for a fatha, aslamta, then it would mean you submitted instead of I submitted. Yes, there will be class today, inshallah. So uzra, an active fi'l is a fi'l that we know the doer of. And a passive fi'l is a fi'l that we don't know the doer of. So if I said, I said I hit him, the fi'l in English would be hit. Okay? The action is hit. Who is doing the hitting? I is doing the hitting. Okay? So we know who the doer is. But if I said I was hit, now the action is still hit, but now we don't know who the doer is anymore. I was hit, sure, but who hit me? We don't know who the doer is. So that's what passive means. Passive is when you have an action, but you don't know who the doer is. So active, we know who the doer was. In passive, we don't know who the doer is. So that's what the second line in all of our families are. They're passive. And family 7, in qalaba yanqalibu inqilaban fahuwa munqalibun, there is no second row because all of the words that will come that will fit into the inqalaba family are already going to be intransitive. Their meaning is going to be passive. Sure. I'm going to say the family, but that's all I'm going to say. Sadda is um, it's one of the 6 small families. but it's irregular. Yes, maftuna, page 33 and 39 will be used for passives too. So just like I say, nasara, nasara, nasaru, I can do nusira, nusira, huwa nusira, huma nusira, hum nusiru, hiya nusirat, huma nusirata, hunna nusirna. And likewise for the present tense, yansuru becomes yunsaru. So huwa yunsaru, huma yunsarani, hum yunsaruna, hiya tunsaru, huma tunsarani, hunna yunsarna, and so on. So, okay, let's do the sort of amila ya'malu. And Hannah also asked about amila ya'malu, that we see amala in the Quran. Amala is not a fi'l. So when we're looking at the fi'l, the past tense is amila. Actually, I'll write it out to make it easier. Amila ya'malu. When you see amal, that's not a fi'l, that's the masdar. Amalan. هو عامل. عمل and don't worry, I'll zoom out. Okay. Amila ya'malu amalan. This is where you guys are getting confused. You're mixing up the masdar for the past tense fi'l. The amila is the fi'l, amalan is the masdar. And then amil is the ism fa'il, umila past passive, yu'malu present passive, ma'mul is the um, ism maf'ul. And then for the الأمر منه اعمل والنهي عنه لا تعمل والظرف منه معمل معمل and معملة. That's the صرف for عمل يعمل. Yes, Tahira, very good. I hit him. If you're saying past tense, would be ضربته. If you want present tense, then it would be um, أضربه. أضربه. No, light and lightest cannot have a long distance relationship. اتخذ is not present tense because it doesn't have any of the present tense endings or beginnings. Okay, let's do, somebody asked for deriving a command. So we use, sorry, uslimu, or I don't know why I did uslimu. Yuslimu. Commands cannot be given in the third person. It has to be given to you. It has to be given to you, both of you all, you she, both of you women, or all of you women. So it has to have the ta beginning. Okay? It has to have the ta beginning. This is where you start. Tuslimu is where you're going to start. This is your present tense fi'l. Going from here to the command form is very, very simple. First, you make it lightest. So tuslimu, lightest becomes tuslim. And this is also true if you have a plural word. So if I had tuslimuna, for example, I would make this lightest, tuslimu. Or if I had tuslimani, make it lightest, tuslima. Tuslimina would become tuslimi, and tuslimna would become tuslimna, because this form tuslimna looks the same when it's normal, light, and lightest. But tuslim, and then we take the ta off. We take off the first letter. Now, for some families, this will be enough. Like family jahada, that's enough. We get yujahidu, tujahidu, we make it lightest, tujahid, and then we take off the ta, and we get jahid. That's enough. But if when you take the beginning letter off, the letter starts with sukun, you need to add something because you cannot start with sukun in Arabic. So that's when we add the hamzatul wasl at the beginning. Normally, for family 4 specifically, the command will always take an actual hamza, not a hamzatul wasl. Okay? For family 4, we put a real hamza there, always. This is unique to family 4. So that's how we get aslim. I can do another family really quickly. Let's do yaqtaribu. So put it into ta form first. Yaqtaribu, make it lightest. Taqtarib, remove the ta. Iqtarib, we're starting with sukun, so we need something else. And we add that. And that's how we get iqtarib is the command form. So that's quickly how we get through that. Sadaf, I don't understand the question. The three different dhaf for nasara would be, it's on the document, but I'll write that quickly. It won't take more than a second. Mansarun, mansirun, and mansatun. Zahira, that's just how that family works. For aslama specifically, we always put a hamza with a fatha. Always. The 4 types of isms? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I just explained the helper alif a little while ago, Muhammad. So you can rewind, inshallah, and watch that explanation again. Remember, Sadaf, we can't, there's no way, for the 8 big families, we could do that. We could guess. We could take it back to the Hua, and then we could get the rest of the family just from that. But when we're talking about the 6 small families, we can't do that. We need both the present and the past. Then we know which one it is. For the 6 small families, you need both the past and the present, and then you'll be able to tell which one it fits. Otherwise, you won't be able to tell. So you would need a dictionary for that, or you would just need to know what the word is. Okay, with that one, we'll go ahead and end, inshallah. Okay, yeah. Um, Inshallah, class will start in the next few minutes. Bi'idhnillah. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And I'll see you all in the next session. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته